Where's the Woodrow?
The usual time. So Woody's no longer with the paper.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's coming here more though.
Is he?
Yes. He's like, I'm gonna come work here more. I'm like, oh good. So he's actually stopped by the last couple times.
So we can create and disseminate whatever it is we want to?
No, because this is streamed
Yeah.
and recorded.
And my mic is on. Is yours?
So we need to make sure mics are on. I did talk to Shauna Wentler, and she's going to try to do some of the reporting. So I told her that we stream these, and if there's any glitch in the system, we'll work with her to summarize what's going on.
Are we, as far as you know, we're functioning right now? Everything's going? Okay.
I assume it's going unless Bill sends me a text that it's not working. So
Okay.
Okay.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
The guest
Yeah.
is all lowercase guest, GUEST 390.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yes, it's not like any keys to the castle. Well,
Anything else? So we're gonna call the working session to order.
Alrighty.
And citizens forum? Nothing? Okay. On to board committees. Nothing for policy, school forest, finance? Only one? Anybody else?
You're being somewhat modest. I mean, at least throw out an update on the loafing shed, because I think it's almost done.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Liz Tangy just confirmed that it is working.
Okay.
She just texted me.
the loafing shed?
Yeah. Otherwise known as the Adirondack shelter or whatever. It's done. So, yeah, it's you'll see it from Highway 11 when you drive by, and
Yep.
it sounds like people are seeing it and taking notice. So,
I did notice it.
Actually, I've got questions and telling people, they're like, what is that? So you explain it to them. Some of them didn't even know we had a school forest out here. It's like, you know, it brings attention to it. You just tell them, it's there for the public. Go check it out. You know, your kids are using it. Go see what it is. Go find trails and stuff. So that thing looks great.
Place for the kids to loaf.
yep.
What's that?
Place for the kids to loaf.
Yeah.
A new place for them to live.
That's why we only put 3 sides on it, so you can at least see it.
And I guess that's maybe, well, and we do have the money for the cross-country skis, so that's a work in progress.
Yes. I gotta send it.
And that, yeah. So we'll have a
They're all
classroom set of skis for like elementary.
We'll thank somebody officially more in the future, but I know there were several people involved in the building of that, so just we'll make note of that at a public meeting later on, once we get all the names in there. I know you've been a part of that, so.
Yeah, no, it's a good
Thank
project. I guess on to finance then. Right? Unless there's another committee.
I think she usually does it under
That's
the
right.
business office.
Sorry. Do you want me to say it again? Okay, I got it. Next up is superintendent's report, Mr. Nelson.
Well, the first thing I have is I put in the packet, today was our first in-service day with all staff. I didn't do a head count this morning, but we had a number of custodians, cooks, bus drivers, teachers and staff, coaches at our morning session. In your packet is kind of the agenda for the in-service days. So busy day, but it went well. And we have 2 more days. Tomorrow will be a little more quiet day, at least for me. So, enrollment projection, and this is pretty rough numbers. We don't really know until next week on Tuesday when the kids show up. But we're projecting district-wide to be up 6 students from the end of last school year. That's at 437, and that's K through 12. In the elementary, we're actually looking to be down 1 student right now, K5. In the high school, we're actually up 9 for 6 through 12.
I have a question for you,
Yep.
Jeff, related to that. Is the 6th grade, now that it's considered a middle school, is that eligible for the higher reimbursement? Okay, just
Nope.
curious on
Nope.
that.
They're still
6th grade,
1.0
K through 6. Yeah,
as far as formula weight, yes.
okay. I was
Whereas
just
once
curious
they
about
hit
that. 7th grade.
7th grade, is it
Yeah.
1.2, if I
I think
remember
so.
right? So that's part of the formula, they're weighted
Yeah.
as they get older, so
Yeah.
nope, they're still considered a 1.0 as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Good question. Next thing I have is a Focus LTFM assessment proposal. I have information in your board packet. We met, here's an update for the Buildings and Grounds Committee. When we met with, was Lynn, myself, and Seth. Met with Seth, and I'm forgetting names. It was like
The
Brad, and someone, or two
Brad,
Brads.
Brent, and I don't,
Brent and Benji.
Yeah, it was
Three
the
Bs,
bees,
the three
the 3
Bs,
Bs.
yeah.
So, and the intent there was, as we've been talking about the track. We've been talking about the bus transportation flow, condition of the sidewalks, point tuck windows, you know. As well as we've maintained it, it still was built in '92. It's just like everything else, it's getting older. So the intent of this assessment is, and it's targeted, we talked about the areas that we felt was most concerning. To have someone come in and do an assessment and give us some feedback on here's what we recommend would be a priority to address sooner than later. Here are the things that can go down the road a little ways, because we don't have enough revenue to do everything we want right at once. So it'll help us do a little more long-term facility maintenance planning, and if there's major product or projects that we need to get going on, looking at different funding streams, whether it's a bond referendum, there's different revenue sources, but getting that information collected so we can start looking at next steps. The cost of this targeted, are you okay? Ouch. That hurts, I hate when that happens. Is about a little under $16,000, and Sheena and I have talked about it. You told me where you're gonna put it in the budget.
Legal fees.
Legal fees. That's not the word that she used when she told me where I could stick it, but
Well, it's kind of like, just like a big pot that we put
yes.
fees in.
So we'll adjust the budget is what I'm trying to say. So she wasn't too thrilled about more. I think it wasn't one of those auditing days, so she wasn't too thrilled about extra dollars being expended, but we'll budget for it and adjust the budget if the board feels that's the direction we should go. And I listed in the board packet kind of the main areas that we're looking at to have assessed. Any questions on that?
Do they have enough public school experience to be assisting in like a bond effort? I mean,
Yes.
somewhere in there where they say, this is probably your best source of funding here, let's get on it. You know,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Yep, one of the Bs was more of Brad.
Brad, that's what his specialty in that company is.
Was the running a referendum, getting it out to the community, whether you're doing surveys. And the thing that they stressed is don't get in a hurry. If you're going to go out for a vote, share the information, get feedback from your constituents sooner than later. Don't throw out a vote and say, hey, we want money.
and they would work with Ellers.
And they'd partner with Ellers. There's different, and I think I sent out in one of my weekly reports information from Ellers. So we have resources that we can use, but I think the first step is defining what our needs are and then going from there. Seth, do you have anything you want to add to
I
that?
think it's Brady, not Brad. That one just came out.
Okay.
No, Witseth has done many projects throughout Minnesota. And, you can go, they encourage people to go look on their website at the projects that they've done throughout Minnesota and kind of get what, how they do things, what they look at, and how they handle things.
It seems like money well spent in that. We just mentioned that we had looked earlier at a company that came to us looking at an overview of everything, you know, in terms of making more efficient what it is we're doing here. This is very specific to our needs, which I like, as opposed to just the general nature of the building.
Yep. Yep. So that is an action item tonight. The next thing on my agenda, I put down strategic plan review and update. I didn't put this in your packet. I'm not going to do a review or update right now because it's going to take me some time to go back and review what we've accomplished the last few years. It's kind of, we put some time and effort into developing it, and then for whatever reason it's kind of fallen to the wayside. It's always been there, but we have not been using this as a driving document. So we'll be giving an update, and I'm going to need help from some of my administrative team on where we're at on many of these items and bring that back to the board. And this might be a good time looking at the dates on this, 2019 to 2024, determining do we want to go through that whole process again or take what we have here and revise the next strategic plan. What do we want to tweak? What do we want to change? So that's some discussions we'll be having in the next few months.
And we paid for help with that, right?
Yes, MSBA came in, and if you remember, they did the community and staff feedback,
Yep.
the surveys. I can't remember how many nights we spent with the large community committee. Quite a few.
Yep.
So it's an in-depth process to develop it. And we might find after we summarize where we're at with things that we have enough things here that still need to be addressed, that we just revise our strategic plan and until those things are cleaned up. Another information, you'll be, the Truth and Taxation hearing is set for Monday, November 20, or needs to be set tonight for Monday, November 27th at 7 p.m. And that'll be part of our regular board meeting. That's an action item. School board members employed by the district. Policy 210 requires a majority vote with all board members present. And it does limit the annual salary to $20,000. In your board packet, you have an appointment recommendation for Miss Carla Rabita to take over one of our bus routes. Thank goodness. But with Ms. Sansegard tonight not being present, we're going to table that to September. Carla can still be a substitute driver until we go through that formal hiring, but it wouldn't do any good to move forward because it's by statute we don't have all the board members here.
Wouldn't make a difference to do a special meeting if it was this. I mean, the substitute thing will work okay for the moment.
I'm fine with doing the substitute. It's up to the board if you want to do a special board meeting. I can check when.
Is there an advantage, I guess, to doing it? Otherwise, subbing is.
It's just another meeting. I mean, it's up to you folks if you wanted to do it.
Go with no.
I mean, either way, I'm gonna be driving.
All right. That's what
I guess if there's a chance that somebody's gonna be gone in September, then maybe we should do a special meeting at that
Okay.
point.
that's a good
Just
point.
Fair enough. So, anyone plan on being gone in September?
No.
Not yet.
See what's on the agenda.
All right.
Carla's appointment.
So I do have some dates. I should check that. When's the September? What's the date? The
I
20.
believe it's the 25th.
Okay. All right. So if we have to do a special, we have to have her. So
Yeah.
I think we need to do what we need to do to get her on board permanently. But I think in a substitute temporary role, I don't think it's necessary for a few weeks. But anything beyond that, I think we should call a special meeting if we need to. That's all I have. We will be going to closed session at the end of the regular board meeting for negotiation strategies, and Sheena and I will be going over some things with you. So, and you have to remind me that I have to record the session. So that's all I have, unless there's questions.
Okay, moving on to high school principal, Mary Merchant.
Good evening, everybody. Earlier this month, along with 3 other staff members, I attended a grant workshop. The only thing I think we'd all agree on is we need more time now to dive into it. Sam was one of them that attended with me, Jenny Krause and Joyce Beckel, so very, very good time, well spent. Like I said, now we just need to dive into applying for some grants out there. PBIS, they had a training that was of no charge in Bemidji, and Sam Longseth and Courtney Bordelon attended with me, and Joyce Beckel attended representing the elementary, and we spent a lot of time looking at data, and then today Sam and Courtney presented to the high school staff how purposeful it really is and how helpful it is when we document things. So whether it's the positives or it's the things we want to improve on, like if discipline is addressed, so that we can see the trends, because you put it into Synergy, and then Viewpoint can print graphs. When are the most given out? What grades? That's for the positive parts of it. When you look at the discipline components, it will let us see which classrooms, maybe if it's classrooms, if it's hallways, where the intensity is, the time of day. So that is going to be one of the more purposeful things. Teachers are going to make a good attempt. Last year we really improved and increased on putting information in Synergy, but we didn't know if teachers were putting the time as far as when they were putting it in or when it happened, and that will make a difference in how we address things. So looking forward to using that data. And then career and counseling information. You know, today when I saw the staff, it was like, it's so good to have so many people in the building, and I can't wait till the students are in the building, because I don't like the quiet in the summer. But one of the nice things about the quiet in the summer, when I had some parent and student meetings looking at college class options, and you're never in a hurry, because there isn't someone else at your door to get in. So it was really nice to have that uninterrupted time to meet with them. I've sent out a college and career planning packet to teachers. Last week I sent out free student success workshops, and I actually had a couple kids respond, and they're all virtual, that we're going to go on and watch some of those. So that was very encouraging. And sophomores on October 25th go to a career fair in Grand Forks. And then on September 20th, Rainy River has invited our juniors and seniors to a college fair, so we'll have them attend that. And then scholarships are already coming in, so I've sent that information out to students. And something new this summer, I met with A&I, and they really want to establish a working relationship with the school. And so tomorrow, 4 staff members and myself are going to go, and it was open to whoever wanted to go. It's understandable why it'd be more high school teachers with the interest, to go and have a tour and really to look at what is there as far as job opportunities for our students when they graduate from high school, and then what's there for job opportunities depending on the area they graduate from college with. So really looking at wanting to keep our students in the area when they graduate. And then being kept a little busy with schedule changes. It's been wonderful how many students actually are looking at their email in the summer and corresponding with me. So I'm hoping that really helps next week when we start classes, that there won't be many changes. And that's it. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Next up, business office with Sheena. Shh.
Our auditors were on site the first week of August, and it's going well, much better than last year. Working with a new firm, we've just found a few glitches just based on how the last firm did things, based on this firm. Like working with Bailey in the past, they would actually log into our software, and I would give them access, and they would just pull any information that they would need to look at. They would pull our trial balance and upload it into their system and different things. This company does not do that. So I found on my end, there's just been a lot more exporting work, and every time I make journal entries, I need to send them a new summary to put in their system. We also found that we didn't receive our work papers last year, which is basically like the Excel format of the whole audit, and it's kind of just the whole format that they use to come up with everything. So I was told that we need to get that information from our last auditor, so we are still working on that. I did get a reply back tonight, and they indicated they would maybe send us one sheet. So I did forward that information to my boss. We need some components from the spreadsheet from last year in order to finish like our state aid receivables this year and also our tax receivables. So we just figure out exactly how much more we should be getting, and we take that money from 2024 and move it into 2023. So we're waiting on that part. We have submitted a few closes. The final complete close isn't due until the end of November, but we just submit, and then we can check our reports the next day on the state website just to see if we have any errors or if anything else needs to be fixed. Right now we're error-free. Everything's been taken care of that we need to, unless the auditors make some more recommendations, which they probably will. So right now we'll just keep going back and forth via email. They'll ask us to look at something and pull some information and send. So we're just working on that. They indicated that they would provide the final audit report at the September board meeting. It will probably be October, the way it's sounding, which is just fine. Usually an audit report isn't presented till November or December, so we're still early on in the schedule. Hopefully we'll get everything we need figured out this week, but my supervisor also said if they won't send the work papers, it's not the end of the world. We can just figure it out from there, but it really helps. We did find a couple of discrepancies. Just looking at our final financials from last year, there's few things that don't match in the final audit report. So, Bergen KDV pointed that out. Good information, but we just might have to make some slight adjustments. So overall, I mean, we're really good to work with. They just email, and they also have a portal, so we just upload everything that they need. So. Okay, so next I'll just go over the rest of the finals from FY 2023, and then I'll just share some more updated information and then some information on this fiscal year. So right now our state revenue is sitting at 92% received, same as last month. It's exactly where we need to be and we should be. The last bit of receivables will come later, but we need to book the receivable and move it back, and that's what we're waiting on at this point. Federal revenues are 132% received. The reason why that's higher is because we were able to submit an application and just get more Finance 170 COVID funds. Local revenues, 171% received. Our total revenues budgeted was $6,965,435. We are projected to receive about $368,242 more in state aid. So currently our deficit is $564,521. If we get about $368,242 in gen ed aid that's being held over, we should finish the year at a deficit of $167,631. This will be a difference of $74,763 from the budget that was presented in February. We had budget to have a deficit of $92,868. So we should have more concrete information at the next board meeting once the full audit's done. But most of our JEs are entered for the year. Everything's been spent and moved just as required by the state. All our grants for FY 2023 have been spent. There are no remaining funds. So I did go through each of them and just indicated what I drew for each quarter for you to see. But everything is expended. The USDA Supply Chain Assistance Fund, which is for Fund 2, we will be getting money this year. Jackie had heard it on a webinar. I haven't received anything yet. I haven't been told how much yet, but that would probably be the only thing that new or additional that we'd be getting. All our grants are done, everything from COVID and ESSER. The Farm to School First Bite grant, we still have $2,500 remaining to spend, and we have the whole school year to spend it. We just submit our expenses by quarter and then we are reimbursed. Our expenditures for the end of the year, our salaries and wages, finished the year at 110% expended, which is $396,946 over budget. Our benefits are 102% expended, which is $26,536 over budget. Purchase services are 95% expended for the year, $74,185 remaining. Our supplies were $197,445 over budget. And just like in our last meeting, we discussed, what's included in supplies. It's pretty much everything. It can be fuel, a new faucet. It's just a wide range of things needed for the building and transportation in different areas. So, and things were just a lot more expensive this year. Fuel is going up. We even budgeted that for higher for next year. So hopefully we'll see some things go down. But our equipment is 112% expended, $41,496 over budget. Overall, all expenditures combined were $714,867 over budget. Our Fund 2 food service finished the year at $3,854 profitable. So that was good. Even factoring in this year, we paid for meals. And, going back to that, and usually you would expect to have a deficit or close to zero, so we finished off the year good. We still have a good fund balance in food service, but the state did change their guidelines. So we haven't been advised to spend down our fund balance, and it didn't gain much this past year, so we should be good. We also had to replace a freezer, so that's a pretty good equipment expense too coming up. So thankfully, all the food was okay. But so food services did well this year, and our fund balance is just
Gina,
fine.
Excuse me, is that in 2024?
The
Yeah.
freezer expense,
Yeah, or 23?
24.
Okay.
We just got the bill 2
Okay.
weeks ago, I
Yeah.
want to say.
I knew that you had looked at repairs or something, so I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yep. Our student activity balance report is attached. Our class of 2023 has been cleared to 0. The class of 2028 still has a negative balance. We're still working on trying to figure it out. I have negotiation spreadsheets ready for each negotiation group. So that is part of my list for upcoming projects. I have to get our special ed UFAR's information to the brick co-op to put into Cedra. That's usually completed in September. New Year payroll rollover and setup. So just getting everyone's payroll ready to go for the September 15th payroll and everyone's time off set up. I believe I got everyone in time clock today, so they're good. And levy submissions will also be completed this month, so I have a few things to fill out and send in to the state. I did attach a July 31st UFAR's expense revenue summary. So just looking at our very first month of fiscal year 2024, we have a deficit of $816,456.56. That's totally normal. All the teachers are turning in their supply requisitions, so we're ordering everything for the new school year all at once, and then we're not getting any money from the state. So that's definitely expected the first month, and then pretty soon our revenue catches up and trickles in. So not much to report on for the new year. So any questions? Yep.
So the COVID money comes in federally, we're 132% on federal revenues. Where does the local go 171% over?
So like when I budget for local, I'm budgeting for like random payments that will come in that you can't really code to a UFARS. They're just different things that you don't necessarily say, oh, this is state aid, or this is tax money, or this is from this particular grant. It's just random money that we get that comes in.
And wouldn't the local revenue just be local tax money that went up because they went through and readjusted everybody's taxes higher?
Well, that's coded to
Okay.
to special tax code
Okay.
or
So
revenue.
this is even outside of that?
Yeah, this is outside of that. It's
Okay.
just different dollars that come in that we don't really code to a specific area.
Can you give me an example?
If we get it, I'm trying to think.
Wouldn't local revenues include local tax revenue? I think
I
it
wouldn't
does.
say this would be,
I mean, we're talking about a pretty small amount of money on that line item, right?
Yeah, that was gonna be the next question.
Yeah, how big a
Yeah,
dollar
'cause
was
you
it?
said 171%,
Yeah.
that doesn't give you an idea about the total dollars.
I mean, that
We
was
could be talking
my,
about $2,000.
but my thought was just like Boyd's was, that's local tax revenue.
oh, this is interest also. Good point. This is also interest earned, which I budget very low for this year, and now the tax rates have been favorable. Like, we've been getting a really good return on interest.
Okay, so it's fees and interest, it's
Yes.
on page 4.
So each month I receipt in from Mintrust and the bank, like the interest we make, and it's been a lot higher than what it was last year.
It's a little bit better explanation of it, where the property taxes has its own line.
Oh, his own line item there, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the concern, was if your local revenues are at 171% of what you budgeted, and yet we still managed to trickle down from $90,000 to $170,000 on a on a budget shortfall. If we got back into 100%, you know, or expect what we expected, we're even in more trouble, you know,
Yeah.
coming on. So that's what I'm a little nervous
Like,
about.
for me, like, when you're looking at local revenues, I'm not gonna budget to get, more in interest, because I don't wanna over budget something that will more than likely not get, or like, just random things, like, there's employees that will sign up for, like, on their credit card program, they can indicate they want their earnings to go to the school. So we'll get, like, random payments for, like,
Was that like Amazon Smile?
yeah, we'll
Amazon
get things
Smile
like that.
payments?
Where it's Amazon Smile. I'm trying to think. There's a few other programs where we'll get just random checks in the mail from. So they really are, when it says like local miscellaneous, that's kind of what it is.
And truthfully, the reason that our deficit is bigger is because our expenditures are higher, not because our
Oh,
revenue is lower.
Yes. Yeah,
Run
we
it down
definitely
again.
went over on supplies and equipment
We
this year.
spent a lot.
We spent a lot of money.
And
It goes
wages,
out
I
for what
did
it goes
under
Yeah.
budget the wages.
So you're right, Tim. We would have been in worse shape had our revenue not been over.
Right, which makes me kind of nervous, because now if we start hitting our budget projections, and we hit them at 100% instead of 171%, and we manage to miss the budget anyway, you know, the shortfall is 80% worse than what we thought we were gonna get. There's an exponential value that's gonna make that even worse, you know what I'm getting at? So, I don't know how you nickel and dime that. I assume the audit will give you an idea of where those expenses went a little bit out of line, or where we didn't budget well enough for them.
Yep, and one thing I really like about this, the frontline software, is it really does help me to see it too. So what I see in finance is one thing, but when they lay it out in different areas here, it's a lot easier for me to see.
Right, so for instance, I mean, you're gonna give us a negotiation sheet possibly here in the next hour, and I'm looking at salaries and wages, for example, are 130% or 110% expended, but $396,000 over budget. So as we go into a negotiation, we need to tighten up on possibly, you know, I understand that there's a lot of money that's being thrown out at the state. I mean, it's improved quite a bit, but it's hard to look at that number. I mean, that's, I don't know what our total payroll is, but what kind of percentage is $400,000 on our total payroll? Is that 10%, or is that something around? I mean, we have a $4 million budget on payroll?
Well, we're 10% over, so this would be 10% of our budget.
Okay, so it is about $4 million on a
Yeah.
payroll situation. So anyway, I mean, the numbers get out of whack kind of quick. Anyway, just throwing those out so we got something to think about when we do the negotiation strategy.
Any other questions?
I do have a question maybe about my email earlier today about the contract for solar,
Yes.
but it's not on the agenda.
I thought we added it.
It's in the cover sheet.
Okay. So it'd be, okay, so it's not on the agenda copy. This one, right? But it's in the, okay.
And you need an agenda.
Yeah, and you, well, I'll just write that on there.
Because it was,
Was
I
that
don't
the
know.
only thing changed to the agenda that,
well, when we get to that point, that one is gonna be removed.
yeah, sure, yeah. Do you want, you can keep that. Yeah, then you can tell me when I get it wrong, otherwise you won't know. Okay. All right, next next up we have activities director, Amelia Tamline.
Hello. So fall sports are off and running. We have our first volleyball game, formal regular season volleyball game tonight at playing the Freeze in Carlstead. And excitingly, they're at home, I should finish that, they're at home tomorrow against Fertile Beltrami, and then in Nevis on Thursday. Football's at Northwoods in Cook, Minnesota on Thursday, and cross country hosts our home meet tomorrow at Sibyl Bay, which is a shout out to Jenny Skoog. She's got she's I think going through the group campground and then going to end at the beach down by the kind of public swimming beach. So I'm excited about that, so that, you know, fun for the state park to get some traffic and fun for the kids to see a different course. So she's put a lot of work into that, so I'm excited about that. And so what you have there in front of you is our coaching lineup for this fall. New names include Hal Reeser, who you've confirmed, and then Tina Lorette stepped in to do the junior high volleyball team. Many thanks to her for stepping in. She admits to not knowing a ton about volleyball, but is very happy to learn and to be a supervisor for them. So, we have the scoreboard update. Seth, I don't know if this was on your docket also, but a little bit delayed in the installation. We are ready on our end for them. It's just been a slow getting out the door and shipping process. I don't think Daktronics expected how long it would actually take to get up here. So in terms of the shipping, they sent it, and I think sat in Fargo and the Bemidji, and so a little bit of a slow process, but we're hoping here, and then I think it's scheduled for this Friday, this coming Friday, and we'll see how that goes, because it requires a lot of hands to make that happen. Thanks to Seth and Dale for working on that. Community ed, pool is going strong. I think we're going to hit another lull with lifeguards, given that our summer crew is back at college. So we had this summer surplus of lifeguards. Our schedule might shift a little bit this fall. Lisa and I are meeting about that tomorrow. Holiday extravaganza, we're starting the process for that. That will be November 18th. I think that's the right date. It's that Saturday before Thanksgiving. It's always a fun day. You know, generalized chaos, but a lot of people in the building. We're hoping to potentially do a quilt show, which I think will add a fun element to it. Youth activities, we're doing 2 sets of youth football this fall, a 4th and 5th grade group after school, and then a kindergarten through 3rd grade group on Saturdays. Jill has got her volleyball crew, her 2nd and 3rd, and then 4th and 5th grade volleyball happening. So that's exciting. We did just also finish up our musical theater camp. So that was a replacement of Prairie Fire Theater. Prairie Fire is reevaluating their process, so they were not able to fulfill their contract. We went with another organization called Missoula Children's Theater. They're actually out of Montana, and they do a very similar traveling director duo who then bring all of the setup and the costumes and all this. And they put on a King Arthur's Quest, which you saw in the paper, which is a really great. We had 17 kids involved, some local, some not, ranging in age from, I think, 3rd grade to juniors. They sang, they danced, there was a dragon. It was really quite fun. So a really fun thing to be able to pick up again post-COVID, because that is the first time we've offered that post-COVID. And obviously we would like more, but I was also very excited to have 17 kids show up. So that was a good deal. The grants workshop, Mary touched on this, I think all 4 of us. It was Mary, Joyce, Beckel, Jenny Krause, and myself. All felt like it was really worthwhile 2 days. Sometimes you go to those things and you're a little bit like, okay, this wasn't worth it. But this woman was very informative. She had a lot of tips and tricks. We walked away with documents to fill in for ourselves, which I think we felt, the biggest part of that is that we felt energized about grant potential in a way that we could capitalize on that. like she pointed out also, we're now back into the school year and going, okay, when do we have time to do this? So I'm hoping, and we've even identified a few of those grants that are upcoming. There's a CHI local community health grant coming up on September 8th. There's a Region 2 Arts Council grant up to $18,000 for community ed and arts programming that I could apply for September 15th. So there's always stuff out there, but it is a question of taking the time to do it. And so when we look, I bring this up and I spend time on this because when we look at these budget shortfalls, I think there's opportunity to find grants to potentially backfill some of that. It doesn't solve all of your problems, as in it's not a silver bullet, but can I fund Missoula Children's Theater by doing a grant, finding a grant for it, that sort of thing. So we're excited about that. I think the fact that the four of us went together was a good kind of, okay, we're gonna bolster each other and make this accessible for people. That's what I've got. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, buildings and grounds with Seth Butts.
I don't have a lot on the agenda, but what I do have has been some really big projects. One of the big projects we have going on right now is the auditorium lighting. That's been put on hold due to the shipping thing again. We're starting to find out that a lot of companies that are relying on shipping, we're getting back to like the beginning of COVID era, where they're starting to go out 3, 4, all the way up to like 10, 12 weeks now to get parts in again. So it's kind of pushing my schedule around a little bit. After the first week of school, Pat and Dale are gonna start with the redoing all the electrical wiring in the panels, get them updated to receive all the lighting fixture. We have not heard back from Gopher Stage Lighting yet on it. They have all their fixtures in, all the lighting. That's what they're waiting on when they're coming in. So that's kind of, that project stands on hold until we find out a little bit more of when all the lighting's going to be coming in. Second one is the entrance apron repair. We had the pool entrance repair done. That apron, when they opened it up, found a lot of surprises on how poorly it was put together and built. And they were gonna do the main entrance because we have a crack in that one. Also, they're gonna, because of timing, they're gonna hold off until after school's out next year. It's safe to walk on. They're gonna put a little patch in to fill that spot so it's not a hazard. Any questions on that one? Okay. Gym floors, the refinishing is done. We had the poly coat put on the large gym like we do every year just to freshen it up. The utility gym was completely sanded down and redone. It was something that was long overdue, but it is all up and going, looks great. They fixed the issues they had from the little history I don't know about it is it flooded at one point and a lot of the boards warped in it. So they got all that straightened out, got it fixed, got it cleaned up, repainted just beautiful. It looks like a brand new floor in that one. The Commons monitor installation is in process right now. We have one that we're ready to put up. All the wiring's done, the mount brackets are mounted. Once that one's done, then we just have the two smaller ones that are gonna go on the side of the Bear's Den up there. They're gonna take place of putting up papers, schedules, things going on. All the school happenings are gonna go electronically now on it. The one that's on the stage that we're gonna finish up first, they're also gonna be able to play movies without the projectors anymore. They'll be able to just plug in a USB and run it like that. So it's a big, big plus for clarity. People can see it and kind of bringing things up into the electronic age now. Any questions on those project updates?
Who will do the, like you said, the notices and stuff like that will be published on those. Who will do that?
You mean put the wording on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Tracy already has some slides in place, but Tracy, Diane, and I have access
it user-friendly to do?
Yes, very user-friendly, yeah. So Bill's the one who installed what we're using. It really just looks like a PowerPoint presentation, so it's extremely easy to use. And then teachers, because we are not gonna be using our PA, so the teachers in between class periods, as kids are coming in and they're doing attendance, can also project it on their boards from their computers.
Yeah.
So,
long-term goal and hope for me is I would actually like to utilize it, say if we're having a game, people are out, they stop at the Bears Den and grab concessions, that they can stay in the commons and still be able to watch the games. That's a long-term plan I would like to get to. But as for right now, once we get them up and going, they're gonna be great for notifications and stuff throughout the day and any changes and stuff. Oh, any other questions? Okay. And next one, we can move on to snow removal contract for 3 years. I had a meeting with CCN. They're the ones who did our snow plowing last year, and they would like to extend the contract to go 3 to 5 years. We had a meeting, did a little discussion, we agreed on like a 3-year to go on that. And it's kind of I think that's a really good thing. You know, they were very happy with the way things went. I was too. There was a lot of learning for them, and they're hoping that they'll be able to do even better, make it more efficient this year now that they know what's going on. So, and I think
don't like shoveling by hand?
no, that they do not. I'm not a big fan of that one anymore either. So I think that comes up as an action item tonight. Any questions on that? Okay. Go
I
ahead.
had a thought on the contract, that there's no out clause for the school.
There's a yes and a no to that. It's verbal, we could get it put in, we discussed that a little bit, it's a good and a bad thing. Our verbal agreement, we could get this put in writing, redo it. If something, the school's not happy with the way things are going, they're very, very open to sit down and talk about it. And if we have to opt out, we opt out. The positive side for the school is we don't have what happened a couple of years ago, where somebody says, yep, we're gonna come in and do it. After the first snowstorm, they were out. They were done and left us hanging. So there's kind of a good and a bad about that. If there's any recommendations or wording that you guys want in there, I'm open to it. I'm not a professional contract writer.
How does it prevent that from happening?
It locks them in for 3 years also, if that contract's in there.
Like in that case, if the company closes, the company closes. So
Yeah, it
it's
does.
relevant.
It does at that point. That's one of those things like any contract. How do you prevent that? Yeah. That's a good point though.
Want to have an opt-out clause in there? If so, we should probably table this.
Table it
with
and,
them and
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't see it as being a problem, but it's always better to have it in writing than
Yeah,
have it
I
out.
think it's a good idea.
okay.
But-
Yeah, that's fair, absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think the big thing is we are very happy with
Yes.
the product that we got last year with.
They took a lot of stress off my plate last year. They were there when we needed them. And I was very, very happy with their services. They're very, very meticulous in how they do things, and they met my standards, and they were very reliable. So, took away a lot of sleepless nights, so some that I could sleep.
Frankly, their second year, I think they're probably gonna get more efficient. They're-
Absolutely.
Know what they're doing.
So they did go through, and with talking to them, they went and bought bigger equipment. They realized that it was a monster of a job. It was a learning process for them. They learned a lot. Yeah, it is. You know, people don't realize how much area that's out there that has to be plowed until they get in there and do that.
It was quite a year of snow too. I mean,
It was.
relentless, so.
It was. Yep. All right, any other questions? Okay, staffing update. As of right now, we're one custodian short from full crew. We are waiting on a background check for a potential. We do have a couple alternate plans if we end up shorthanded going in. And we'll figure it out, just make sure everything is done. Woody Fiala stepped up and took Saturdays permanently. I know last year that was a very sore spot in how to staff that, and kind of taxing on everybody, and a couple of my staff were really burnt out having to come in early on Fridays, leave early, and then come again 7 o'clock and open the school up. It's very, very tough on them. And I tell you what, the crew stepped up to that, and I gotta give them kudos. These guys are fantastic. And like I said, Woody, he actually approached me. We met in the hallway because I was gonna ask him that question. And he's like, before I even said anything, I made that motion, he goes, I got Saturdays. So I was like, all right, one less thing to worry about. Any questions with that? Okay. And then the last, we finally had a 5-year sprinkler system, 5-year sprinkler inspection gone through. I do not have the official results back from them yet. The unofficial results, I walked around with them. They opened up, they did 3 branches of the 6 that we have here, and they opened up 4 circuits on each one for the sprinkler system, immaculate condition. It was a big concern because nobody remembers even having a 5-year done when it was done, but it was very, very comforting to know that everything is clean. We have no issues, foreseeable issues with the sprinkler system in an emergency. So, that's all I have. Any questions on that? As soon as I get the official result, I'll make sure it gets out to everybody on that one. So. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Next is food services with Jack Peterson and Jill. Then transportation with John Buckles.
Well, I think I got some good news. We got 2 new drivers. So one's sitting next to me. She worked really hard at it, and she did really well. Maybe she disagrees, but she'll be taking over the Williams route. Then we got Steve Kramer. We're going to combine the Indus route with the Clemenson route, and it's going to flow perfect. So that'll be nice. So we can kind of, we're not adding another route. So, and I'll be helping him with that because that's my old route. So, so we have 7 routes, and right now we stand with 5 full-time drivers, and we got 2 subs there to cover the other 2. So we're okay. It would be nice to hopefully get a few more full-time drivers in the future, but we're sitting good as of right now. That's all with the drivers. I did get to try out the new 2-way radio, and Dale I had a trip to Bemidji, and Dale was calling me every about 20 miles, and it was first time ever I can understand somebody on the radio. It was crystal clear, and even when I was in Bemidji, I mean, it was crystal clear, so it's really promising. So, ones we've had in the past is
Just to throw in on the other end of that, Dale and I were, actually both of us were together talking to John on it. You have the ability on your phone, you can track where that bus is at. You can see it, it pings it by GPS. So if there's ever an emergency or something happens, you know exactly where the bus is when it's there.
That can be really helpful, especially if I'm sitting back at the garage and a bus gets stuck and they're trying to explain where they're at. I can go on there and look, and I can get right to it. So it's a nice tool to have. That's all I got for now. Any questions?
I'm assuming like I don't know if that helps your cause in the building, but when you have no Saturdays to cover, does that make it easier to possibly put an ad out and hire somebody?
For
like the custodial staff, or, I mean,
yeah,
because it used to be you were asking for weekend coverage out of it. And,
yeah, out of a normal guy during the week, and we had to alternate it, which made it difficult. But yeah, I think that hopefully that helps.
and we're still looking for bus drivers, so we got an ad out, right? I mean,
And custodians, sub-custodians.
yeah, and that seems to work better on word of mouth than anything, right? I mean, find somebody who is capable. Right.
Thanks, John. And last, we have IT with Bill Chambers. Nothing, just the list on the agenda tonight, right?
The obsolete items.
Yep. That's a yearly thing that he submits, so.
Well, I think we can adjourn the working session and move right into the regular board meeting unless somebody needs a break. Nope.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for a motion to approve the agenda, and just, actually, we'd have a couple changes, so we would table the appointment of Carla Rabita as bus driver, and then that addition of Nathan Solar, on our Tier 1 welding instructor.
Is that all the changes?
The CCN snow removal contract till next month.
Oh, yep, table that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Lynn, second by Carla.
If I can.
Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have board presenters. None?
None?
Any written communications? No? Okay, move on, no old business. So we'll move on to new business, looking for a motion to approve the July 24th, 2023 board meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Lyon. Any discussion? Call for a favor. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statements.
Motion by Lyon.
Second.
Lyon and Johnson, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we're looking for an approval of personnel resignations, retirements, and appointments. We have two appointments, Tina Lorette, junior high volleyball, and Nathan Solar, Tier 1 welding instructor.
I'll motion that.
I'll second.
Motion by Carla, second by Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution 2023/2024-02, accepting a donation of $359 from Wabonica Lutheran Church to the Lake of the Woods High School backpack program.
Make the motion.
I'll
Second by,
second.
go ahead, by Robita.
Second.
Johnson and Robita. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you to Wabonica.
They must make a lot of pizzas.
Gonna sell a lot of, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Wonderful. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve resolution 2023/2024-03, accepting a donation of $100 from the Scott and Marcia Schmiezik to the Lake of the Woods backpack program.
I'll make that motion.
Second by Lyon.
Ellis and Lyon. Any discussion?
Does backpack program function during the summer or something to the equivalent?
Yes, Joyce Fadness has some families that she provides meals to. At least she has in the past. I'm not sure how many she did this last summer, but that's been done in the past.
I have a question about that too. So if someone knows of someone in need, you can make the recommendation,
Just let
just let
myself or
yourself.
Mary know, or
Let someone know
Joyce
at the
Beckel,
school.
or- yep.
Not that I do, I just was curious about that.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Once the tomatoes and cucumbers are done, maybe I might.
Zucchinis.
Yeah, stuff in the kitchen, extra zucchinis. Can't get rid of all the green beans.
gonna
Joyce
call-
Beckel is a good resource. She has a list of families that she's working with that.
Maybe Shauna, if she's listening, could do a write-up on the backpack program.
That's a test to see if she's listening.
Yeah, there you go. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the disposal of obsolete IT equipment.
I'll make it.
Second by Lyon.
Johnson and Lyon. Any discussion?
Go with the old and with the new.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the Baudette Lutheran Parish User Agreement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Robita.
Johnson and Robita. Any discussion?
That's the Ruby Tuesday stuff.
Ruby's Pantry.
Ruby, yeah, Ruby whatever.
I think it's on Thursday.
Ruby Thursday.
Yeah.
That's a dating sign.
All right, Johnson and Robita, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for, actually, we tabled the approval of CNN Services snow removal quote until next meeting.
Do we need a vote to table that, do you?
No.
I do think we
you
signed that
could do
contract
that.
with them.
We could
That-
You could do that.
do a vote to table.
Motion to,
It's in the handrail.
Okay.
Should we do that?
Sure. I mean, it
Well, it won't hurt.
may be redundant, it's not gonna hurt
it's
anything.
redundant because you took it off
Yeah, you
Yeah.
took it off
Yeah.
the
agenda. So
Yeah.
I would,
As
if
a
you took it
part-
off, I would leave it,
Yeah.
but that's always, I mean,
If
we
you
have the
get to
crib
that,
sheet here and we get into the habit, but a board member can always make a motion to deny it or table it. I mean,
Yeah.
you do have
I
that
think we
power
have
to
covered
create a
Yeah.
motion
but we covered it on the agenda,
when we
right?
adjusted the agenda.
Yeah.
So we're good.
I just think we signed that contract with them last year the day it was snowing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It started snowing and said, let's get this thing done. So nice that we're getting it done in a warm month right now. Get it done with.
Okay. Next up, we're looking for a motion to approve and set the date for the Truth in Taxation hearing as Monday, November 27th, 2023 at 7 PM in the ITV room.
I'll make that, whoops, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll second it.
Lyon and Ellis and Johnson with the motions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we're looking for a motion to approve the facility assessment sorry, there's some wording here that's killing me. To approve the facility assessment proposal
That's with Widseth.
with WITSEF.
I'd make that motion by Lyon.
Second.
Lyon and Johnson. Motions, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the first and final reading of the policy revision for policy 2010, conflict of interest, school board members.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Johnson with a second by Lyon. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alright, now I'm looking for a motion to close the meeting for labor negotiation strategy pursuant to Minnesota statute 139A.14 subdivision 3 at 7:13 PM.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Alice and Robita with the motions. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.